Alright, am I live? Yes, I'm live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's stream, where I will be working on my World Eater's Maulerfiend. Now, I know, as I said last time I streamed working on this bad boy, I'd finish him off stream, but I actually haven't gotten the opportunity. So we're gonna do that today. He is quite close. He is quite close to being finished. Right now, the main things to finish him off. Let me just double check the glue's holding, because that was a problem I had this morning. This morning I went to work on him, and I felt like I heard this noise like a little plastic stretch. By the way, welcome Hollow Arc Games, welcome Havoc, welcome Pierce, and welcome Shadow Fox. Hello to all four of you. Welcome indeed. By the way, make sure to leave a like. It's always good to support the stream. But yes, this morning I poked at the side and I heard I was like, okay, that's weird. Then I poked extra hard and he popped right off the glued components on the base, and I was like, that's not what I want to see. So I re-glued him down with like double the glue, which may have been overkill considering it's super glue. And to be quite frank, you don't need much. You don't need much for something to stick. But that being said, that was a bit of an issue this morning, and it does look like I'm not feeling any give, so it does seem like the glue is far more solidified. So there's that. Okay. Alright, I need an excuse to keep on painting again. Good, well, I'm glad to give you that excuse. I hope to give you that excuse for all eternity. So, the main things I gotta do to finish him off, I gotta do a little bit of stuff there. I debated at one point doing something different with all, like, the little pipes and wires and stuff down here. I might touch up, like, the little ridges black to make it look like piping. But outside of that, I think I'm gonna leave the Runelord brass metallic look. But yeah, right now what I gotta do is I'm gonna do washes on the silver/steel look. And I also go to apply the blood for the blood god effects. And I debated doing it or not, but I'm gonna also do a highlight red on all the paneling. That way he actually looks like he's popping more. Right now with his flat red, that looks perfectly fine, but you know me, I like to go the extra mile. I'm liking the glow effect. I'm still figuring out how to do that with my paints. I'm not so sure if I can with the paints I use. Well, you absolutely can. The only thing, so actually let me do that for you right now. Let me add a little bit. Yeah, I want to, so with this glow effect with the green, that is super easy to do. Now, the two ways to do it, that light might be a little too harsh. Hold on. Yeah. I want it to be a strong light, but I also will not want it to obscure what I'm trying to do here. Let me do this. Make the light less direct on it. Alright, so with this green that you see there, the way to accomplish that is there's multiple ways to do it. The easiest way to do it, and not necessarily the cheapest way, but the easiest way to do it, is you do a base coat of white, and then you just use a technical color like Tesseract Glow, or if you want a less strong green, you go with Hex Wraith Flame. I recommend heavily Tesseract Glow. That's what is used on there. And what these technical color paints do, they're not like a contrast paint, but how they work is it's kind of like a two-coated paint. So it's got a darker green, so to speak, in it, and it also has a saturated yellow green in it. And I don't know the exact chemical composition of this paint. If I did, I'd do a DIY on it, but because I don't, that's why Citadel actually gets my money for something like this. So when you apply that over a white base coat, this is the effect that you get. On the recesses around whatever it is, it kind of applies like a wash or a contrast. Around the recesses, it kind of pools the darker color of green. And in the surface components where it doesn't pool, it has a yellow-green, giving it that glow effect. So that's like the easiest way to do it. This makes making glow effects like that piss easy. But there are ways to do it without having to have this specific paint. Another methodology you can use is mixology. Now, mixology is a painter's best friend. If you want to achieve a glow effect with mixology, it's kind of like that on the eye glow I have here. So you basically glaze on multiple colors, and you kind of work your way from the darkest color to the lightest color, because the lightest color is going to be what's most on top. So with this eye I have here, I started with a saturated red. Unlike the rest of the color, this is all corn red, which is a much more maroon red. Whereas this, the red you see on the edges there, that's the red. That's Vallejo game color, bloody red. So you start, like, just using this as an example. You start with this as your most darkest color, so to speak. And then what I did to achieve the mid-tones to the almost yellow glow around the eye pupil is I simply continued to apply. As I went to the lighter colors, I just simply applied a little bit more and more Flash Gets Yellow, or a saturated bright yellow, with the bloody red. So I started with just a dab of Flash Gets Yellow to make the red go from a vibrant red to a slightly more bright orange, slightly. And then I added a little bit more, gave it a bit more of a more firm orange color, a little bit, still keeping it very bright, until the point where it was almost this color towards the very center, and then I applied the black as the pupil. But if I hadn't applied the black as a pupil, it would just look like a glow effect. And to give it a little bit of a reflective sheen, I used little dots of white to get the eye effect. But take that away and take the pupil away, it looks like a glow effect. And if I had made the center white, as opposed like that little white line right here, it would look like there was like a generating light from like a piece of energy. So that's the two methods in which you can simulate a glow effect without actually having to have it glow. Now, anyway, now that I've rambled about that, Teacher Asmo taking off his professor cap, let us get on to the paneling, because I do want to do that before I forget. Now, the easiest way I'm going to do the highlights on the panels is I'm just going to take Vallejo's Bloody Red and basically do what I just told you guys to do. Let me apply that here. I see. The white coat is something I can pick up, and I'll see if they have mixings I can do. I was going to try Red Glow for the Forge Fiend. The Forge Fiend you posted. Ah, yeah. Yes. Again, mixology is probably the best way to go. There might be a Citadel Red Glow equivalent technical color. Feel free to Google that. I'm not aware of it. This is the only thing I'm aware of, which is for like making glow effects like that. I only know of the greens for that. Alright, so first things first. Apply that. Right, now. Yeah, someone on the call line Discord when I was sharing the stream around said I'm assuming they're gonna be popping in at some point. By the way, we have 8 viewers, but only 3 likes. Come on, guys. Bring up that like count. We always love to see it. And share the stream if you'd be so kind. You don't have to do that, of course, but I always like to see it. Always good to have as many people here hanging and banting about. But, yeah, let's start with... Maybe let me do this. Do a little mixology myself right here. I'm going to mix a little bit of World Eater's Corn Red with some Vallejo Bloody Red and see what we get. We're going to start with that being our highlight. Okay, makes a slightly darker red. That's basically all it does. Alright. Let me get to panel. I'm probably gonna have to do 2 thin coats. I have no doubt about that, but may not have to, but we probably will. Och, welcome to the stream. I forget. You forget what? Did you forget? Why? I use Reaper paints. Cheaper, though water soluble. I am tongue-tied. Soluble. A blessing and a curse. Of course, of course. I mostly use Vallejo. Like, that's the main paint I use. It's the main brand I use. I kind of like their saturation. Like, they have all the basics, and they're really good for mixology. So if you know how to mix colors and you know on the color wheel what that translates to, that can be a huge boon. Now, of course, if you're not used to mixology and you don't just need all the base colors and you would like all your paints to just be the exact color you want to work with from the outset, then Vallejo still might be good for you because it has a lot of ranged colors to look upon and call upon. I would say Vallejo's weakest place is probably in their metallics. I'm not in love with their metallics. I'm not saying they're bad. They're actually quite good. But they're quite good for non-Citadel brands, which Citadel kind of ruins, at least me, on other brands' metallics. I'm sorry, but Leadbelcher just is so good as a paint, as a metallic paint. And so is Retributor Armor, so is Warplock Bronze. I mean, look at any of the Citadel metallics. I'm sorry, but GW, I don't know how Citadel/GW figured out the recipe, but they figured out the perfect recipe for metallics, and it's just they absolutely nailed it. So to give some credit where it's due to GW, they do a damn good job with their metallics. So unfortunately, every other brand that has their own doesn't seem to be able to match up very well. Trying to be very careful here. Now, one thing I've absolutely signed myself up for here with doing highlights is that this is going to be a long process. So once I put down all of the, I guess I don't have to highlight every single panel, but it will look weird if at least the biggest ones aren't highlighted. But yeah, once I got all of this next coat of red down, I then have to go the next brightest color up. I think I'm only going to do a base coat of this little mix here. And then I'm going to do a more orange, and then that's it for the highlighting and the paneling. I don't think I'm going to go almost all the way to yellow. I'm just going to do a dark base tone. And then we're going to move on to the highlight tone, which is more of an orange. It took me an hour of stirring the contrast apothecary white paint when I was painting. Yeah. Apothecary white. Citadel's whites are terrible. That's where Vallejo definitely beats them, is again with the base colors are all damn awesome for, I'll spit. Are damn great for Vallejo. I think Vallejo's base white on the game set color, the dead white, that's way better than any of the whites that GW has. I don't know what GW did to their whites, but they're super chalky and gloopy. So they may have perfected metallics, but they have not perfected the base colors. You can already start to see a little bit of the highlight as we go around. How it brightens up. The best part about this is you don't need to fill it in because it's not the base coat. This is the highlight coat. Or the next layer up on the highlight coat. So you kind of want to leave the corn red edges as best you can. You really don't want to fill it in. I will say I love Reaper whites. Both their bone white and pure white are very good for your tastes. I'm glad to hear that. I might have to check them out. So the brand is just called Reaper? Like, flatly? Or is there, like, more of a name to it, and that's, like, the abbreviated name, just Reaper? By the way, cool thing for those who haven't seen it today. Arch did a video talking about the downfall of the Wokos, and he used a clip from one of my Hellstorm wargaming video. It's not just Hellstorm. It's a Hellstorm wargaming and primarily the wargaming article vid, which was awesome. It was cool to get a shout out. It was cool to get a shout out, and I'm glad to help archive these crazy people. Very glad to help archive them. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog. She's desperate to go outside. This is about the time my mom usually takes her out to go ratting. I live on a farm, so our animals have jobs. Hers, she's very enthusiastic about. She hunts rats. Fortunately, she's too enthusiastic because it's to the point where I definitely doesn't feel like it's a job for her. She certainly doesn't see it as a job because she demands to be let out to do it as soon as the time comes. Thanks, welcome to the stream. Hello to you too. How are you? Reaper is the brand, I think. I think it's under Master Series. I can check real quick. Yeah, go ahead. You don't have to, but if you want to check real quick, I'd be curious. I've never used Reaper paints. Mainly Vallejo for me. But I've been interested to check out the AK paint series. I haven't been too confident about trying them. I don't know why. Like the AK brand, to me, like for me, it's a complete conundrum because I haven't even heard their reputation. I've seen people use AK paints in videos and stuff, but I've never heard like praises for it, and I've never heard degradations for them. So it's a complete enigma for me. The quality of them. I would be curious to try out AK paints at some point, though. I would be very curious to see if they're as good as I hope they are, or at the very least, it'd be cool if they're just as good, if slightly worse, than Vallejo. They're definitely worth checking out. I know I've seen praises for like specific paints for them, though, so there is that. You're ambivalent about Arch as a content creator, but it's great to see everyone interconnected. I mean, I'm not ambivalent. I do enjoy Arch. Arch and I have had a pretty good relationship over the years, and even before, like, I met him and spoke to him way back when. Even back then, like, I've always respected Arch as a member of the community. He helped, like, me and a lot of other people get into the lore. Like, a lot of people give a lot of credit to Luton as, like, the lore channel. For me, it was always Arch. Arch was the lore channel. Arch was where you went if you wanted to learn about 40k and you weren't familiar. Like, when it came to recommending 40k to your friends, and, like, you didn't have time to espouse lore to them, and they didn't necessarily have time to immediately jump into the books, you'd send them to Arch. That was how it was, like, back when I first got into the hobby. So for me, it's been interesting watching that evolution of, like, there's so many lore creators out there that people would recommend now. But for me, like, Arch was, like, the person to recommend. And I still recommend him amongst the first, like, names listed when people are like, hey, where do I learn about the lore? Obviously, my first recommendation is always read the books. But if someone just wants, like, hey, well, I don't have time and, you know, before I invest myself into a book series, I'd like a little bit of a taster. I'm like, oh, okay, check out Arch. I also have, like, other names I list as well, but Arch is usually on the list. You know, nowadays I also say Voldemort. I sometimes say Luton because as much as, and again, I don't hate Luton, but I'm not his biggest fan. I have my issues with Luton, but my issues aside, he is objectively a great lore tuber. So, I apologize for my dog. She is ridiculous right now. Very voracious dog. Let me out! Let me kill them son bitches! That's what she's saying. That's the translation. I can speak dog. Welcome, the Alpha Omega Project. How are you? What's poppin'? I just found you because of the Hellstorm drama. Ah, well, at least some good came from the drama, absolutely, other than laughs and entertainment. Welcome. It's so weird how fast my opinion of him changed. This might be, like, I've never talked about him on the channel till this situation, but I have always had a low opinion of Hellstorm Wargaming. Always. I never really saw the need to mention it publicly. You know, I don't like shit stirring for no reason. Like, I believe it or not, I don't love drama. I love it when, like, the drama's well-deserved, like, the person involved is, like, a shit stain. Like, he's kind of proved to be. But, even before this latest round of drama, I had a low opinion of Hellstorm Wargaming. He's always been a hack. And unlike Valric, I never felt like he was a genuine fan at any point. So, for me, like, the realization he is kind of a tourist is unsurprising, because he's always been a tourist pretty much. Like you see it, I showcased part of it in my video, but he literally cringed at having to talk about the lore, which is, and also what's funny is what he talked about wasn't even accurate. Like, he was talking out of his ass, saying that the Sisters of Battle are all led by men. And he was referring to their army specifically. He wasn't referring to just in lore they're led by the Ecclesiarchy, which is mainly men. He was talking like their army. That was all, like, all the leaders were men. Which is fucking stupid. And a straight up lie, too. And I'm pretty sure he knew it. But it didn't matter because it was an ideological point. Wheezy Pillar, hey, how you doing, man? Welcome to the stream, how you doing? Oh yeah, I guess it'll be a good opportunity to share this. This Sunday, I'm gonna be a guest on Wheezy Pillar's YouTube channel. Yeah, so check him out if you guys would be so kind. He's been also talking about this drama and situation. I am so sorry about my dog. She is not letting up. I hope you guys can't hear her too well. But yeah, Hellstorm Wargaming, always had a low opinion of the guy. Always had a low opinion of the guy. I just started listening to Arch because of the Badab War stuff. It is him or the sellout Arbiter Ian. Really? They're the only two who have covered it? Maybe I should cover it. I figured other people would have covered the Badab War. I know that Arch, I think he could be credited with this, but I know Arch popularized Brax. I didn't realize the Badab War, though, was... Did I just talk out my ass? Aren't those two kind of... I might be talking out my ass here. Eh. If I am, I am. I'm on stream. Okay, it's okay. I have a dog. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like she stopped, though. I'm hoping that's either because she was let out, or she got a treat, maybe. We used to make peanut butter treats to distract them for a few minutes when they were barking too much. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys can make out the highlights. Let me know. Based on how I'm looking at the camera, it looks like it should be catching it pretty well. But, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. I need to do a little bit more of a coat of layer around parts of it. Like, some of it's a little obviously painted. So, I need to do 2 thin coats. Need to do 2 thin coats. Kind of looked up to Hellstorm, but as I have started making content myself... Oh, nice. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Love to hear the passion is bleeding into creating some content. Love it. Myself, I have started to learn more behind the scenes drama, and so many content creators are so different. Yes. And the thing is, like, I'm not to defend necessarily Hellstorm Wargaming, but to defend content creators as a whole with, like, the drama thing. This is why I warn people, don't get too wound up in content creators as a fan. And keep in mind, I'm saying this as someone who's made this mistake. Like, when I was younger, I'm saying that like I'm old, but when I was younger than I am now, I made that mistake. Like, I got wound up in content creator adoration. And Arch will tell you this. When I first got to meet him and talk to him, a little bit of that was still around in me. And I fanboyed out a little bit when I first talked to Arch. So, you know, like, it's not like I shed this as soon as I became an adult. But the last few years, I'd say the last 4 or 5, being a content creator and really experiencing that end of things, I've come to, and also being more of an adult, you come to accept, okay, yeah, as cool and as fun and as awesome as these people are, as entertaining as they are, they're still human at the end of the day. And, you know, it's just like with Hollywood stars and stuff, and blockbuster stars. You know, you can love them up, down, left, right, and center, but you got to keep in mind that they're human. And with being human comes with mistakes. It comes with bad choices. It comes with bad behaviors. And some of it, you know, you just got to detach a little bit and understand that they're an entertainer. As long as they don't, you know, do anything too horrendous, you can't really get too held up in the drama. We're all human. We all do stupid shit sometimes. Now, of course, if they're like Mini-Lad, if you know what I mean, then jump down their throat and make sure that if they're like EDP, that's not a mistake, by the way. Those are not examples of mistakes. Those are examples of trash. Like, those aren't barely human. Those are trash. If they're like that, fuck them. But otherwise, when it comes to like, oh, maybe they just said a swear word on stream, or maybe they made a comment that wasn't in line with an opinion that they espoused before in a carefully curated video, I'd say don't get too wound up into it. At the end of the day, people are human. They make mistakes. Just kind of roll that off. What about Temple and Institute? Oh, fuck Temple and Institute. Yeah, fuck that guy. That again, that's an example of not a mistake. That's an example of someone who is a narcissistic, arrogant prick. Like, that is very different. That is very different. Again, I'm talking about like the PewDiePie when he said the N-word, like on stream. Like, people really went after him on that and stuff. And I always felt like that was so cartoonishly stupid, even at the time. But like, even now as an adult, it's like he said a bad word. Oh no. Or more recently, like, people are starting to find out more and more that Boogie2988 is a kind of a douche as well. It's like, I've known that for years, that Boogie's, not that I've like known him, but you know what I mean. Like, I've got the vibes of douche from him for years. And, you know, most of what he's done, as far as I know of, is just him being a narcissist. Like, he himself acknowledges it. I think what makes him frustrating, though, is Boogie recognizes he's a douche, admits it out loud, says he understands that, but then takes no action to fix it. So in his case, it's a little bit more... It's almost comedic just how much he doesn't seem to realize that a lot of his problems could be fixed if he just put in the most bare bones amount of effort. But that, even then, I still wouldn't recommend people get too, like, hateful of the guy. Like, once we start getting into the break-in of the laws and being, like, trashy person, then, of course, like, I'm not gonna tell you not to hate the person. But also keep in mind, human, flawed, makes mistakes. Again, once we get into the... But, like, in the Temple and Institute's case, he isn't a person who made a mistake, like, on a live stream and screwed up. That man went out of his fucking way to like, gaslight people, to lie outright in stream, to mischaracterize and misappropriate, probably the wrong word, but disfigure and misinterpret things intention. Like, the guy went on Twitter, aggressively told everybody he was right and they were wrong. Aggressively, like, posed that, oh, I'm gonna make a video and it's gonna shit down all your throats. And, you know, he was trying to start a war on Twitter. And then his video comes out, and what's the tone of the video? You know, is he out there going like, huh, all you chuds suck dick, here's all the proof that I'm right, you're wrong, blah blah blah. No, what's the tone? Well, guys, in Warhammer,
the lore, there's really no canon. There's really no canon in 40k. But if you don't feel that way, that's fine. That's fine. This is just my interpretation of things. But I feel my interpretation is the correct one. But if you would like to leave a comment, and I would,
that bullshit. Like that bullshit. That's not someone that made a mistake. That's a narcissist. That's somebody who's starting shit on purpose. That was Templin. So, that's a douche. And the guy acted all big and tough on Twitter. The moment he got off Twitter and got on YouTube, all of a sudden he's Mr. Reasonable and, carefully curated thoughts and nice comment. Oh, suck a dick. It was so two-faced. Like, I was like, what are you, a lawyer? A Hollywood actor? Like, what the fuck are you? Because that was two-faced as fuck. To a disturbing degree. Wait, what did Temple do? I have only seen Arch's video on it. The Templin Institute. For those who don't know the situation where I'm referring to. So, how long has it been? Shit, it's been a year now, hasn't it? It's been a long time. Hold on. My videos all are timed around when it all happened, so. Yeah, it's been a year. 11 months. 11 months. Okay, so roughly speaking, a year ago to 11 months ago, the Templin Institute basically started hyping up that he was working on a video. Been a year. Well, my coverage was 11 months ago, so. But yeah, just around a year. Welcome, Wolfenbach, by the way. Welcome, you beautiful human being. But about a year ago to 11 months ago, Templin Institute went on Twitter and started hyping up a video he was working on, where he was gonna push the pro FSM message. Now, immediately, a lot of you will be like, "Okay, the guy's a douche." But the way he did it on Twitter and how he entered the conversation was he pretty much immediately went hyper aggressive. Like, he started like talking mad fucking shit to anyone who was anti-FSM, and really started pushing that there's no canon, that because of that their lore is whatever you want it to be, and he disingenuously had it so when everybody was like, okay, so if there's My Little Pony in the lore, then that's perfectly fine with you. And he was like, he put on the act of, oh yeah, that would make sense because there's no real lore. Welcome Bewildered to the stream. How you doing? Hey, really like the eye inside the chaos Czar. Thank you. I am proud of it. I think it came out pretty damn good, so I'm glad you like it too. But yeah, Templin Institute went on Twitter. He hyped it up pretty bad, and he had this really douchey attitude. And like I said, hyper aggressive. He was starting shit on purpose. Don't ask me what he was thinking. I don't know what he was thinking. I'm pretty sure what he was thinking was, oh, it's good advertisement because what gets people to pay attention? Oh, well, if I act like an asshole, people will pay attention. Well, he was certainly right about that, but the problem was they weren't paying attention because they were interested in what he had to say. They were paying attention because he treated them like garbage and told them that if they didn't agree, they weren't. Well, he said they were basically objectively wrong. Like, if you didn't agree with him, you were objectively wrong, was what he was saying. So, it was a whole thing. And then the video came out about female Space Marines. And you can find it on his channel to this day. It's still up as far as I'm aware. And in the video, he had a very different tone than he did when he was like ranting at people on Twitter. The tone was aggressively different. He went from being like super accusatory and arrogant and douchey to now all of a sudden very passive and very, very, well, if you don't agree, that's fine. I feel that I'm correct. And that's how on Twitter, posed himself to be like this Chad, like, I am like the guy, and anyone who doesn't agree with me is wrong. The moment he gets on a video,
Oh, well, guys, if you don't agree with me, well, I think you're kind of, sort of, maybe wrong, but, I'm pretty confident in my idea of a thing, and if you disagree, feel free to leave a comment, maybe, kinda, sorta, I will respond, and,
it was so fucking two-faced. I made a couple videos on it if you want to see, but it was so two-faced. Thanks, it means a lot. You're explaining everything. Feel free to complain if I'm explaining too much. I tend to do that. Excuse me. Apologies. Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, he lost mad subscribers over that shit. It bit him in the ass. He lost a ton of subscribers, which he's recouped now. I checked a little while back. He's fully recouped. He's fully recovered, unfortunately. But he lost a good number at the time, and he paid the price for being the douche that he was. Unfortunately, it wasn't a price that lasted. But objectively speaking, the video put him back channel-wise, probably way more than he wanted to be. Alright, so done with that paneling. So again, we're going to do that across all of them. Or at least most of them. The funny thing is, I'm actually aiming to get my World Eaters army completely painted in less than 2 weeks. I haven't even assembled half of them. And I'm waiting on some of them to arrive in the mail, so wish me luck on that front. Because there's a tournament coming up at my LGS near the end of the month. And when that tournament is going to be a huge boon for me, because it's been a while since I've been able to play at my LGS, so it'd be good to see the other locals and play along and hopefully learn 10th edition. I have played a little 10th edition already, and I won a tournament at 10th when 10th first dropped, but now that 10th is like properly out and everybody's had like chances to play, I think that there's no way in hell I'm gonna win this tournament, but no. It'd still be interesting to learn the nicks and nashes I didn't the first time. I will say this, I got really lucky that tournament. That or everybody had really bad luck. Combination. I played orcs, so that's my main army for those who don't know. My main army I play on the tabletop is orcs. Lore-wise, my favorite faction's Black Templars, but army-wise, orcs have been my love since the start. Gamer Song Games is another one of those types. Rat Home 2. Aggressively pro FSM and anti everyone else. Don't want it? Okay, fascist. Yeah. I don't think I've interacted with Gamer Son Games too much, so I don't have an opinion there. But I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. Oh, by anyone who has found my channel through all this drama and stuff, I don't just cover like the drama and the controversial stuff in the community. Feel free to check out my lore videos. I have 2 long-form lore videos. There's one that serves as my channel trailer. That's the Necron War in Heaven one. And I've also just recently released a Black Templar lore video. Feel free to check those out. I do more of a narrative lore style as opposed to just like analytical information. So if you're a fan of Voldemort, I'd say you'd like how I approach espousing lore. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him. I do a lot of editing. I think the research is quite thorough, so I will most certainly recommend my stuff for those interested. But I do also cover, like, the drama. I don't shy away from it. I was certain I can't paint fast enough to do that. Yeah, I don't know if I can, to be honest, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it the college try to get all of my world leaders painted up. But I'll verbally tell you everything I have to paint, and y'all can feel free to tell me no way in hell I'm gonna get that done. But I have to paint the Maulerfiend, almost done, so barely need to mention that. But gotta paint this Maulerfiend. I have to paint Angron, and I have to assemble Angron. But I have to assemble and paint Angron. I have to finish painting Karn the Betrayer. I have to paint 30 Khorne Berserkers. I have to paint 20 Jackals. I have to paint 10 World Eaters Chaos Terminators. I have to paint and assemble a Hellbrute. But everything else I just mentioned I have to assemble. This is the only World Eaters thing assembled other than Karn. I also have to assemble and paint a Chaos Rhino. Did I say everything already? I said the Hellbrute already, right? Yeah, okay, so Hellbrute, Maulerfiend, Chaos Rhino, 30 Khorne Berserkers, 10 Chaos Terminators, Angron, and Karn. Yeah, so that's everything I gotta do in less than 12 days. So pretty much my whole free time is going to be either assembly or painting. And then, obviously, I have work. Believe it or not, I do have a day job. If I didn't have a day job, I'd upload way more often. And you guys would like see far more content. So I apologize that that isn't more frequent, but gotta pay the bills. Hey, Battle Ready is only 3 colors. I'm just saying, you're right. But that's not my standard for painting. Now, I might be forced to do just Battle Ready because of this timeline. Templars, you crazy right-winger. Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, one of them actually, one of, fucking the woke heads on Twitter actually, like, quote-tweeted, I keep saying that. Gotta quote the teats. But, quote-tweeted me, one of my posts. Oh, shit. No, Mr. Brush, don't run away. But he quote-tweeted one of my tweets, and he was like, oh, drawn Black Templar avatar, looks dumb.
Yep, this guy's a douche.
It's like, really? Apparently, being a fan of Black Templars makes one a douche. If so, I am a proud douche. Would have said impossible as soon as you said Angron, then you just added numbers. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there is so much to do. But in my defense, like this is one of where I get the most fun. I work best under pressure. Like when I have a deadline, when I have like a hey, I have to get this done. That is when I churn out some fucking power painting and assembly. Like that's what I've always done. I mean, a good example is most of my orc army, and I have like 4,000 plus points of orcs. Most of them got painted, like this guy, for example, got painted under a crunch time. Like before, like I had a tournament. It was my first tournament of 9th edition, if I recall correctly. It was my first tournament ever of 9th edition. First time I was gonna unveil my full proper orc army. Before that, I'd always had to play with gray or plastic minis, and I always hate it. I hate playing with plastic or primed minis, but they're not painted properly. I hate that. It's a passionate hatred of mine. I want, when I go to a tournament or when I go to play with someone, in my head, I am doing a disservice to myself and them, and I am failing at the hobby by showing up with unpainted minis. Now keep in mind, I don't hold anyone else to that standard. That is just me. If you have unpainted minis and you play with unpainted minis or you play with prime minis, that is fine. Go right ahead. But for me, my personal standard, I refuse to show up with unpainted minis. Every time I've had to do it, a little bit of my soul has failed to remain in my body. Like, I lose my shit. So I had about 200 points of orcs, mainly just infantry painted. And then I had a week and a half to paint up the rest of the army. Now, at that point, I had just finished my Stompa, so the biggest, most complicated model I had was done. But I still needed to paint up 3 squads of orc boys, 2 squads of knobs, a single squad of warbikers, a Rucker Truck Squig Buggy, a war boss, and a weird boy. And that's all of that was only just assembled. None of it was painted, and half of it was primed. So I had a huge amount of time. I had a very minimal amount of time, and I was working full time at this point as well to cram all of that. So I did. So I crammed over. It was a 1,000-point tournament. I had 100 points painted, not including the Stompa. The Stompa was painted, but not including him in the point count because I didn't bring my Stompa that time around. But I had about 900 points of orcs I needed to paint in under a week. So this guy is a good example of the quality that came out of it. Because this was... Like, I have not touched this model. I've not, like, cleaned it up since. This is a direct product of what I was able to do for each mini and each model on the upcome for that tournament. So, you know, as you can tell, you know, he's purple all over. I didn't do a lot of variety in, like, his outfit or clothing. And I used, like, really basic stuff to get him done. There's not a lot of variety, as you can tell. But he still came out and looked pretty good. And I also... this is another example of something that came out of that. I have touched him up since then. Mainly just added highlights onto the green. As you guys can tell, I like vibrant paints. I don't tend... for me, I'm a fan of, like, the retro paintings of, like, traditional Warhammer miniatures from way back when. I like the modern detailed sculpts. But for me, I always liked the kind of contrast between this grim, dark setting and the super bright, saturated, like, 80s colors that you used to see on the old promos and the old box art from way back when. I like that bright, saturated colors, and I like how it contrasts with the setting. So I paint everything fairly bright. I do weathering in here and there, but I don't aim for a semi-realistic style. I aim for 80s garish bright colors. Like, for me, I think I like how that contrasts with the setting. So that's why this is such a bright, you know, color. That's why all my minis are bright except for my Black Templars. And it's kind of hard to make Black Templars bright given that they're black. But yeah, so knowing that I crammed pretty well during that period, maybe I can do just as well this time around. I might fail. I've told myself this, though. If I can't successfully assemble and paint my World Eaters in time for this coming tournament, I will bring my Orcs instead. I've already contacted the LGS, and because they want the lists before you show up, obviously. Because, you know, they got to host a tournament. They got to know what people are playing. They got to set up the brackets. So they want your list before you show up. So I sent them 2 lists. I sent them my World Eaters list, and I sent them my Orc list. And I told them I will show up with one or the other. And just keep both in mind. Please forgive me for sending you 2 to have to manage for one person, but I explained to them why. I told them, like, I want to paint up this World Eaters army. That's my plan, is to come with them. But if I come up with the Orc army, that's why you're getting that list. And they said it was cool. They said, like, we'll keep both and we'll attach them to your bracket. Just as soon as you get here, tell us which one you're running, and we'll make sure to put that into the bracketing. So yeah, they got both my lists. My OCD wouldn't allow me to do that. Yeah, that's same with me, man. I don't think I was ever diagnosed with OCD, but I'd be shocked if I didn't have OCD. I have a lot of very obsessive compulsive traits. Of course, I'm not going to self-diagnose myself, so I can't say I have OCD, but it wouldn't surprise me if I do. I think that's drying out a little bit. Damn it. Okay. You don't want your opponent to deal with a gray plastic army? Yeah, same with me. Like, I see it. For me, it's an embarrassment to show up with an unpainted army. But it's funny, because every tournament I've gone to, a lot of other people show up with, like, bare bones painted minis. And I don't judge. Again, I know my standard is just for myself. But I do always see that, and I'm like, maybe I'm too harsh on myself. Because I have played against people who like barely painted their armies, like 1 or 2 models. For example, towards the end of 9th edition, I went to a tournament, and a guy was playing Sisters. Which, by the way, that was like, if you're looking for like embarrassing stories in the hobby, here's one from me. When I played him, he kicked my ass so bad with Sisters. Like, so bad. I was playing my orcs. He kicked my ass so bad, I forgot it was his turn twice in a row. Like, mainly because I was doing all the, like, it was during the combat stage, and, you know, he attacked me, and you do your rolls back. I was doing my rolls back, and I was, like, watching my models fly off the table as he was killing all of them, including my Stompa. And I'm like, hey, so, you know, after this, I'm gonna do this. And he's like, it's my turn, dude. I'm like, you're right. Okay. And then I did it again, like, shortly after that, because we did, like, a few more exchanges, and, yeah, I'm pulling more of my models off the table, and I'm rolling my dice. I'm like, okay, so after this, I'm gonna... And he got aggressive with me. He's like, dude, it's my turn. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I feel bad for that guy. I hope I never play him again. I really do. Because I felt so bad. Like, he showed up and he's having to tell this half-wit multiple times, hey, dude, it's my turn. Stop telling me what you're about to do on my turn. I felt so bad for him. Oh, God. That was embarrassing. I really do hope like he felt sympathy and didn't hate my ass leaving, but I don't know. But yeah, that's how bad he was kicking my ass. His rolls were immaculate. Mine were fucking terrible. I got shredded. I got tabled actually in that match. I got completely tabled. First time I was tabled too. Like that was. Ooh. Well, my regret was not losing or that getting tabled. It was the embarrassment of forgetting it was my turn. It was not my turn. Usually sounds like my usual game of Chaos Space Marine. Yeah, 40k does feel like that sometimes. Sorry you had to go through that. You know, like again, it's one of the few bad experiences I've had, and like again, I feel mostly bad not because objectively for myself it was bad. The embarrassment sucked. But I felt bad for him. Like, he's having to play with this half-wit who forgot it was his turn multiple times, only slightly a few minutes apart. Again, I hope to God he was understanding, but I don't know if he was. So, yeah, like that's a good hobby embarrassment story for you. So just know, if you have a bad experience, it's kind of hard to top that. It's like, oh, I lost pretty bad to this guy one time. It's like, oh yeah, did you lose to him and forget it was his turn while you were losing? Then you don't got me beat. Got me beat to toe. Stippling here. Yeah, I am excited. I'm excited for the. What should I call it, Wheezy? Interview, hangout. the stream we're doing on Wheezy Pillar's channel this Sunday. I am excited for it because this is the first time I've been asked to collab with another creator in the 40k sphere for a long time. Like, not since before I defended Arch. Geez, 3 years ago now? 2-3 years ago? Well, it's kind of when my channel first blew up in the 40k sphere, when I defended Arch way back when. I haven't had an offer to do a collab since then. I've been blacklisted in most of the 40k community sphere. I guess my stuff with Ludus counts as that, but we kind of became a partnership temporarily. So I don't know if that counts the same way. I don't know, maybe. But not including that in Geekus Theoreticus, like actually going on someone else's channel and being like featured and, you know, hanging out and having a little bit of community camaraderie with another creator. It's been a long time. Talk to the wrong people, you get blacklisted. Yeah, well, that happened to me. Like, I got blacklisted hard when I defended Arch when the cherry-picked messages of his Discord were being shared around everywhere. And the thing is, at the time I didn't really like. I was nervous covering it, and I wasn't that as firm as I am nowadays. Like nowadays, you guys watch my videos, I'm not hesitant, I'm confident, and I'm straight to the point, and I'm firm in like my defenses now. But at the time, I was very nervous getting into the drama. So when I covered it, I wasn't even like that hardcore like defending Arch initially. I was just simply saying, guys, maybe don't jump on his ass based off of a couple of cherry-picked screenshots. Like, this is really disingenuous to act like this is concrete evidence that he's evil or something. Like, can we get the context shots? Can we get shown anything with more substantial than single one-off messages here and there with no, you know, preceding conversation being shown? Like, that's all I said. And I got one hell of a fucking backlash. And I found out, and I won't say who, but at the time I covered that, there was another content creator I was in talks with, around my size at the time, like 1,000 subs. I think he's shot up way more than that since, but it was another 40k content creator, and we were in talks of doing a podcast episode together. It was his podcast, and he invited me on, and he's like, hey, I've seen you around, I've seen some of your content, you're really funny, you're really entertaining, I'd love to have you on my show. And I was super excited, my first collab ever on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to, man, absolutely. And we planned it out, we even pre-planned talking like what the conversation would be about, we had the date and the time set and ready to go. And once I covered the Arch stuff, he contacted me the day before the day before we were supposed to do our podcast episode, which was only 2 days after I did the coverage of the Arch stuff. And he sent me DMs, and in not so many words, he essentially said he was terrified of going on stream with me after all that drama, and he had heard in the grapevine of the content creator sphere that I was blacklisted. Like, a lot of other 40k creators were writing me off because of my coverage. So when that happened, he sent me a pretty big, like, essay long thing. More like, he started out with saying, like, dude, you know, I've got some mental issues right now, and you know, I got a lot of nerves and depression, my anxiety's up. He primed the conversation with a lot of excuses other than just the fear of the blacklisting and being probably dragged in with me. But after some lengthy, like, you know, oh man, I'm not doing too good, I'm scared, like anxiety, depression, stuff not going great. And then he finally got to the point and said, and listen, after all of that, and with what your coverage, and I've heard from other creators that you've been blacklisted, I don't want the heat from this so I'd like to cancel our podcast together. So that was the price I paid for being honest and standing up to what I thought was salacious bullshit. And to this day, it's the only regret out of the situation I have. I don't regret standing up for Arch. I don't regret for what I said. Only thing I regret in that sense is I wasn't even more firm. Because if I was going to pay that price, I wish I would have been a lot more aggressive in my defense of Arch at the time. But it's the one regret I have is that was a price I had to pay, was losing my first collab opportunity. But it was immediately remedied because I got the collab with Arch after that. So, you know, in with a minor situation, in with a major. If anything, I got an upgrade. So I suppose there's not much I can hold on to too much there. But I would have liked to have done that. That would have been really rewarding and a good experience. So it's good that I get to do that now with Wheezy Pillar. And I don't, with his coverage of things, I don't think he's going to cancel on me last minute. Sci-Fi Guy, welcome to the stream. Arch has helped preserve 40k in my opinion. He gets too much hate for protecting what he loves. I agree. And I've always agreed with that. Which is why, like, I've defended him a lot over the years, and I'll probably continue to do so. Some of his community think I'm going to heel turn on him. I can't remember. That's like Spiffier Mage or something like that. Can't remember the exact name, but there's like someone, Mage name something, commented on my coverage shortly after Arch and I did a collab like 2-3 years ago, and they were like, okay, cool, it's cool and all, and what you're saying in your coverage, thank you for doing it, but when are you planning on turning on Arch? And I haven't done it yet, and after everything I've said, it wouldn't really do me any favors to do it now, so my answer has been, and at the time was, never. That's fucked up. I hate how people bring in politics into hobbies. I just want to play Warhammer and have fun. Don't care who you vote for. That's how I feel about it too, and that's what we should have for the community. The fact that we are having political debates within 40k about real world stuff is ridiculous. In and of itself, it is ridiculous that we are having this issue. But you got to keep in mind, it's not us that are having it or bringing it to light. It's us pushing back against it. And we got to keep doing it. Got to keep doing it every day. For better or for worse, we've got to fight back against it, and we got to gatekeep, and gatekeep always. Got to hold the line. I'm in uni and was going to political science, but stopped because of how the world is. Had to tell out to make money and mental health. I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't go to college or university, not because I couldn't or didn't. I actually had several scholarships after I left school. That's not me bragging too much. Half the scholarships I got were just simply because no one else applied to them. But you know, I had a good number of scholarships I could have used to help me pay my way through school. But I ended up joining the workforce instead. I got a job offer to work for a contracting company that worked for the DoD, the Department of Defense, and I spent my first 2 years out of high school designing warships for the United States Navy. I worked for a company called, feel free to Google it, Bath Iron Works. That company is a contracting company that the United States government contracts to design warships, and mainly what I worked on were DDG-51 Arleigh Burke class destroyers. And that was my career for 2 years. 2 years out of school. I worked on the naval base. I worked directly and alongside some naval officers because, you know, we had to coordinate and do stuff like that. But, yeah, I got to go on the ship several times a week to do ship checks because even we designers have to, like, visually see what it is we're bringing to life on blueprints and 3D models. So, yeah, I still have a couple hats from the ships I worked on, such as like the John Bassalon. And yeah. I'm very proud to have done that for the first 2 years of my adulthood, but that's what I did instead of going to college. A little bit of background about me for anyone who's new. Now I do need to clarify because I'm sure you guys understood from what I said, but let me be as specific as possible. I was not part of the Navy. I was not conscripted into the United States forces. I was not an officer. I was not part of the military. I was a civilian contractor that worked for the Navy. I have to clarify that because I will not do stolen valor. I was not part of the military. I had to learn military doctrine and protocol because, you know, when we hand off the ship to the Navy, the ship doesn't immediately leave the yard. Like, it doesn't immediately, like, hey, like, we don't give them the keys, so to speak, and then boom, it's gone. No, like, we still work on it. We still check on it. We still do, like, last minute tests and stuff like that, all the way to the time they actually fully take it out of dry dock. So, you know, you do need to, you know, show them your pass, tell them why you're entering the ship, you know. It's actually quite fun. You definitely should be proud about it. I am. I am proud of that. I'm not proud of, like, the management. I would have kept doing that job for the rest of my life if it weren't for, like, the bureaucracy of the job. The bureaucracy was insane. Like, if you ever work a DoD-related job, I warn you, you're gonna feel like a toady to a politician sometimes with, like, how much you can't say, how much, like, direct terminology seems to be contrasted by their personal terminology. Like, there's a lot of communication issues, and when not even just between the us and the Navy, that's bad enough, but also with yourself and within your own, the company you work for, the contracting company itself. There's so much bureaucracy and so much holdup and so much crazy shit. So I warn anybody, if you're ever in the position to work with the DoD in a contracting format, you will have hair-pulling amounts of ridiculousness to put up with. It is a pain in the ass, but it can be a very rewarding job. And if you got 2 years on it, like I have 2 years on it, you put that on a resume, you'll never need a college degree. If you touch anything sensitive nature, yeah. I have an NDA. I think I can say this about the NDA. I can't. I'm in trouble. But can I? Yeah, I can mention I'm in the NDA. I have an NDA from my time there that has a lot of years on it. Like, it's basically, the NDA lasts till I die, pretty much. Which kind of makes me think sometimes, it's like, okay, but after I'm dead, what if I leave a diary? Would they prosecute me because I wrote it before I died and therefore within the spectrum of the time frame of the NDA? And if so, what would they do with my corpse? Like, I've had like dark humor moments like that sometimes. Huh. Diaries are okay. I think so. As long as they're not publicized, I think they're fine. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I could say how long it's for. They just censor it, yeah. They'd probably redact it. I don't have a diary though, thankfully. I tend to keep in mind what I'm not allowed to say. Gotta build the ships, and this goes for planes as well. Yeah. Although apparently some people don't take their NDAs too seriously because shit tons of crap have been leaked on War Thunder. Like, when I first heard that, like, it made my eye twinge because I think of all the shit I've done over these past few years to dodge questions from family members who have asked me, like, 2 specific questions on what I worked on. You know? And I'm just like, who the fuck just looked at their NDA and said, fuck this, and, like, shared full-on files on War Thunder? Like, And I'm just like, and here I was like worried I was gonna go to jail. Some people aren't really that fucking scared because they're fucking sharing shit on War Thunder. Fuck me, man. Like when I heard about that, oh, like I just put me into question the validity of my NDA. Like, well, if they can do that, well, maybe I could tell my mom about that specific thing I worked on that one time. Yeah, don't work for the DoD, folks, unless it's a highly rewarding job. If you can put up with the bureaucracy, it's definitely worth it. But if you hate like hyper aggressive management in terms of like how they bottleneck and control things, you would hate working for the DoD. Absolutely fucking hate it. It is a nightmare. When I saw the War Thunder leaks, Jesus, I was... Now, granted, I worked on boats, I worked on ships. Probably should never call it a boat. I think I was told that several times. Yeah, I worked on ships, so I guess that... As far as I know, the DDGs that I've worked on, none of that shit's been leaked on War Thunder, but I know a lot of aircraft stuff has, and I can't imagine their NDAs look any different than mine. Like, to me, it would piss me off if, like, the air contractors who did design work had better NDAs in terms of like what they were allowed to share and speak about than us, because I was like, in my mind, like those should be equally as sensitive. So I know you can get prosecuted up to like treason depending on the severity of your breach of NDA, so call them a dinghy. Actually, yeah, I can say this. Hold on, I hesitated for a second. But actually, while I worked at Bath Iron Works, who here knows what the DDG 1000 is? Also known as the Zoomwalt class. This is public information, by the way. I'm not giving away any secrets here. But I'm gonna be very careful what I say here. Be very careful. But there are some things I know I can say about it. But the DDG 1000s, I'm not going to give any technical descriptors, but during my time with the company, we had two of those in mid-design. This was something our higher-ups constantly reminded us while we were working on that stuff. That they constantly repeated, like, we are the only ones who have successfully built a Zoomwalt class destroyer. And that's true. Although, part of that was because Ingalls, which was one of the companies that we compete with for contracts for the Navy. Again, everything I'm saying right now is public information. It's not under the NDA. But yeah, Bath Iron Works, where I worked, Bath built is best built. We were the only ones who successfully built those ships, and I jokingly called them dinghies. It was intended to be derogatory. I can't say exactly why, because that is within the NDA, but I will say those fucking things were a nightmare. Like the Arleigh Burkes we worked on, we've been working on those for years. Like we had the design process down to a T. Most of what our job was simply fixing things up or altering things based on new additions. Again, can't be specific, but the 1000, the brand new ship. Fuck me, dude. Like, those ships were a nightmare. Again, I can't say why, so don't ask. But they were horrible to work on. They were horrible to work. I better move on before I say anything more, but... Ugh. I mean, look into it. Some of it might be public now, but I can't say anything. Oh, God. Just, a bunch of memories are flooding back, and I'm just, like, getting a cold sweat of, like, long nights. I'm like, ugh. Oh, God. That was a shit show. That was a shit show. Paints are drying. Ingle's in the town near me. I see a lot of secret stuff we're not supposed to. Or you get to see a lot of secret stuff you're not supposed to. I'm not going to ask too many questions about that. Do you work there? Or is it just like what you see like over the fence? What you see over the fence, trust me, they're probably not trying to hide it that much. Do you have a Discord or something? Yeah, I have multiple. I have multiple. I have a 40k Discord. It's a community Discord, but it's also a private Discord now. I tend to curate who goes in there very carefully, mainly because the people on there, like most of them are sweet, amazing people, and you know I make sure to keep that community pretty tight knit. But if any of you ever want to go on that Discord, just let me know. Feel free to join the call line Discord. I think the link is still active for that in the last open mic stream. If it's not, leave a comment and I'll update it. But yeah, I carefully interview and curate everybody who goes in it, because you know, gotta gatekeep a hobby. Sometimes you also gotta gatekeep a community to make sure it's all cool, nice, tight knit people. So how about the local sports team? It sure was weather today. Speaking of the weather today, what a transition, I know. But the weather today, like the reason I'm doing this stream right now, and the reason I'm home and I'm even able to work on my Maulerfiend, is because I drove in this. Like, it's snowing outside. We have a full-blown snow and ice storm going on outside right now, and it came out of nowhere. I didn't hear about this from the news or anything. Just boom, snowstorm. Like, what the fuck? And on the way to work, you couldn't drive on either side of the road without getting dragged into the ditch by the snow dunes. So you had to drive almost in the center of the road. Now, I have studded snow tires. For those in the South who've never used those, have no idea what they are or what the hell that's about. Studded snow tires literally have metal studs in them to pierce and grip the ground and help you get traction even in the worst conditions. Studded snow tires. They're 100% necessary during the wintertime here where I live. And I live in Maine, for anyone who's curious. It's the most specific I'll give you. And I barely made it to work alive. Like, there was like 3 times I nearly got in a head-on collision because people refused to move from the center of the road to just give just enough room so 2 people could cross the road at the same time. So it was harrowing to get to work. And when I actually finally got to work, I was like, okay, I'm at work. I'm going to do my shift, and I'm going to get a full day's pay. And despite how dangerous it was getting to work, it'll be dangerous getting home, but I'll make good money. And then I was there for 2 hours, and they're like, all right, everybody, we're leaving. We're closing early. Fuck. I drove all the way there, and I don't get my money. Like, I don't get a full shift's worth of money. I got paid because they only pay us what we work, and I didn't get a full shift. Why go in? That's my question, pretty much. Like, I shouldn't have gone in. I should have been like, yeah, by the way, the roads are shit. Bye. I won't be there today. But I'm a hard worker. Like, not to brag or anything, but when I'm scheduled to work, I will move heaven and earth to go to work and do my shift because it's what I agreed to on my schedule. It's what I'm obligated to do. And I try not to let weather, of all things, be a preventative. But by God, do I wish I had, because it was such a waste of fucking time. I traveled all the way there for no good goddamn reason. Yeah, and you would think that, right? Like, hey, like, call all your employees and be like, hey, we're closing early because, you know, bad weather, so stay home. I even called them to tell them I was on my way and I might be a little late because the roads were shit. And they didn't take that opportunity to say, oh yeah, by the way, we're talking to corporate about closing. Maybe stay home. No, they're like, okay, see you in a bit. I went all the way there for no good reason. But hey, I made it home alive, so. And I made some money today. I made the gas money it took me to get there and a slight little bit more. So I guess technically I'm in the green. Still doesn't feel worth it though. Country road, where do you go? All I can see is the fucking snow. Yeah, that was my trip into work today. Pretty much, that's pretty on point. Excuse me. Let me dip a little bit more red onto my Vallejo, Vallejo, Vallejo red. I call upon thee, Vallejo red. Gotta make money? Yep, gotta make money. Gotta make that green, you know what I'm saying? You got the Catan and Lord of Skulls for your world leaders? The Catan. Lord of Skulls, no. That is something I probably should invest in at some point. Huh. Well, until I get that. As for the Catan. Catan, that's usually a Necron thing, unless I'm mistaken. Are you referencing something else when you say that? Because the world leaders related things that I don't have. They don't have a huge list, thankfully, so it's kind of easy to collect the whole range. But the only thing I'm lacking from their range, as far as I'm aware in my head, is the 8-bound, which I know that they're pretty much a staple of world leaders now. But I'm only missing them and the Lord of Skulls, as far as I'm aware. I pretty much got everything else that can be world eaters in their line. Unless I'm missing something in my head. Yeah, I got Karn. I'm still working on it too. Karn, Karn I was stupid with. I did a normal Zenithal highlight with him. And because of that, I now have to manually paint all of his trim. I'd only realized the method of priming them the color of their trim after I had already started working on him. So now I'm paying the price. So now I have to manually paint all of his trim. And yeah. It's the chitin I was talking about. The chitin. I'm drawing a blank. Let me Google it. Word eaters 40k chitin. I typed KKK chitin. Might give me the wrong result. Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Now, okay. Yeah. No, I don't have that. That is another thing I will definitely have to get at some point. I forgot those were a thing. I remember the Lord of Skulls. I forgot about the chitins. It looks so dope too, so that was probably a bad memory glitch on my part. But yeah, I don't have those yet. So I gotta get chitins, Lord of Skulls, and 8-bound. Once I have those, I think I have all the World Eaters models. Or I have the full range. Yeah. Right now I'm pretty happy with what I have though. Like, got Karn, working on him, and also got Angron to assemble and paint. Got all. Oh wait, I think I'm also missing a Lord Invocatus or Invocatus. Because there's the Lord that comes in the combat patrol, but I think he's a separate model from that one. Like he's the same archetype, like they're both on a mount, but I think his is specific, whereas that's like the more general lord on mount. I think I could be wrong. Excuse me. So we've got fresh red paint. Let me mix it in carefully, y'all. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, country mama. Alright, here's an important question for all of y'all. What cultural accent do you think the world eaters have? Because there's a bit of a debate with me on that one. I think they have a more Russian, Slavic lean to them. But some of my friends disagree and think that they're more like Serbs or maybe even like Bulgarian. I don't know. What's the consensus on this? Like cultural wise, what do y'all think about the world eaters? Rage. What was do kit? What? Just help basically. I'm so mad that GW is killing Forge World. It was the only part of the company that's doing a halfway decent job. The sculpt looked way better than anything GW can normally produce. I agree. And the thing is, I'd be fine with GW dissolving Forge World if they took all those same designers in those kits and they simply converted them to the plastic kits. If anything, that would be improvement, because the biggest problem with Forge World is the fine cast. Like, the resin casts and everything for the models from Forge World suck. Like, you should not be rolling the dice, so to speak, when buying a product from GW. And Forge World was a subsidiary of them, and has been for years. So the fact that every time I've ordered from Forge World, it's been partially a roll of the dice on how good it is, and whether it is, whether it has like some of those resin bubbles and shit in it. That I should not be wondering if this next thing I buy is going to be high quality, or it's going to have a major flaw. I shouldn't be wondering that. But yet I do every time I've ordered something from Forge World. So, as much as I agree if Forge World had higher quality sculpts, and they certainly had more pristine models, I don't agree that they were better overall. Like, again, their biggest failing was in the fine cast and in the resin models. It was super bad. Super, super, super bad. So, I would be fine if they dissolved Forge World only technically, but they still kept the staff, they kept the designers, and they just simply moved all the kits to be plastic. Like, I think that would have been, like, the best of both worlds, but get the quality designs from Forge World, but put them in plastic kits. I wouldn't even cared if they had kept the same price, but I would have preferred that over just dissolving. So Chitin is sent to Legends, but you're not playing Torn? Playing Corn. Hi, wait, how can you tell when they're always screaming? Hey, they're always screaming, but sometimes you can, if you get enough vodka in them, you can start getting some, like, cohesion. They only scream so much because they're sober. Where they come from? Again, it's not too literal. It's more like you know how each Space Marine Legion has kind of like a cultural influence or vibe in their, like, creation? Like we all, like, for example, the Templars, the Black Templars. There's a little bit of Germanic influence in, like, their design and some of their aesthetics. So sometimes jokingly you can say, like, oh, accent-wise they'd have a German accent. It's kind of that. It's not like are they literally Slavic, or are they literally like this, that. It's based on their inspirations and based on some vibes about them. What would they be? And I think they'd be Russian, or to be more generic, Slavic. Might be Eastern Rome, like Middle Eastern. Really? That's an interesting one. Let me close some of my tabs here. There we go. Okay, okay. Okay, those highlights are good. Little hairs showing up. Downside of having pets. Trying to go a little bit faster here because I know I haven't mostly been banting this stream, and I tend to do that when I stream. Bant. I want to make some progress here, so just kind of going through a little bit faster here. Still being careful not to make mistakes, but make sure I do those highlights. Also, Pierce, welcome. I forgot to say that. We're the worst of the worst, so they get sent there. Okay. When I think Russian or Slavic, I think more cold and menacing, so that'd be Nightwoods more so. Fair enough, I suppose. I don't know, associate corn with Scandinavian. Because Valkyria being Valkyrie, I think. Yeah, that's more from fantasy, though. Like 40k. But I can see where it comes from, though. Booze, that's fair. Wait, wouldn't that mean that the World Eaters and the Space Wolves are pretty much the same thing, then? Just two... They're pretty much the same cloth. Just cut from two different angles. And then, of course, there's the argument from, like the Primarch perspective, because Angron was, like, on a Roman Colosseum world. But, there's multiple angles you could make, like, arguments from. You see a part being Greek. Yeah, maybe like Spartans. Although I say that because of the red color. I'm very basic. Alright, so before we keep going with red, it's time I do like the next highlight color. That way you guys can at least see what I was going for. Don't knock over. I don't know why, but like randomly today, I had this like hankering to rewatch the movie The Page Master. Does anyone ever get like those random cravings of like watching childhood movies? Or am I like weird? Feel free to say I'm weird, because it's subjectively true. been too harsh of a transition. I just did this there. Go a little bit more red. Should add a little bit more water to it as well, because it's kind of drying a little fast here. I probably should start stippling more. Doing highlights can be a complicated process. Yeah. In Lore of the Warhounds, were recruit based on psychology, so mixed, to be honest. You would argue that the Iron Warriors are Greek. I think they are supposed to be. At least Perturabo's homeworld definitely has that vibe. Of a Greek kind of feel to it. Stippling seems to be the way to go. How's it looking so far? Just using like that as a reference. We're gonna do like a dash of white at the very top. Doing good? Good. Love to hear it. Like what we're going for. Gonna take a while to do all of it, but should look pretty darn neat. Yeah, I don't know. One of these days I gotta pick Arch's brain on whether he still isn't a fan of like the painting process. 'Cause I know at one point he wasn't as much of a fan of it, but I don't know if that's changed over the years. Definitely gotta pick his brain about Carcharodons. I think Carcharodons is still like it's still a hot debate on like who their progenitor chapter is. I still stand by its Night Lords. Some people have made arguments for other things. I think it's Night Lords though. I don't want to do it. Also, does Arch have the time to paint his question? These days, probably not, but I don't know if he would have enjoyed. I think it was a time, even like in the early days, though, where he wasn't even a fan of the process, which I can understand. I do get that. It could be. I know the painting could be frustrating for a lot of people, but for me, it's part of the hobby. Like, actually, for me, it is the hobby most of the time. Like, the lore is a huge part of the hobby for me, but the actual like physical engagement of the hobby is pretty much universally the assembly and painting process. Like, for me, that's a huge part of the fun and the enjoyment. Like, the tournament is like my smallest amount of fun that I get to engage in with the hobby, because I do it so rarely. When I do, I have fun, absolutely, but overall hobby engagement time investment, it's definitely on the lowest part of the list. Like, the highest investment is definitely mini painting for me. So that's why for me, the mini painting is very much the hobby, pretty much. Alright, this is hopefully where we start to get the glow effect I'm aiming for. Fingers crossed it actually works out. Because after this, we gotta add some little bits of white. That the astral claws went to such heights and such acclaim, and I wrote some similarities with Gilliman. And then to see them go as heretical as they did fits best for me. Okay. Actually, that is a that leads me to a. My nose keeps getting stuffed. Leads me to a curious question. What's everybody's favorite legion? Legion, mind you, not chapter. Alright, Wolfenbach, Space Wolves. Shocker. What's your name? Wolfenbach. Who's your favorite? The Space Wolves. Never could have guessed. Loyalist, BA, Blood Angels, and well, Blood Angels are loyalists. I mean, someone other than Blood Angels. And Chaos. Death Guard. Okay. Again, the Death Guard is, as far as I know, and I guess you would make the argument. Okay, well, pre-heresy versus post-heresy. Alright, so how does that look, guys? I'm going for a glow effect. Like, it's glowing from the center, so how's that look? I'm also hoping the light doesn't make it look too glowed. So with my hand covering up the light a little bit, how's that look? So how's the effect? Good, good. That's what I like to hear. Just go up even one more shade. This is where we get. And with that little dash of yellow at the very edges. How does that look? Because the further I go away from it, the better it looks. But the more I zoom in with my eyes, it's like, it could be a little better. Yeah, really going for that, like, sinister glow off of the effect kind of look. Ooh. So a lot of the emphasis on the miniature is on the eye. So yeah, I think that looks really good though. Like I might like praise myself a little too much with it. Might do that. I don't know, let me cover up the light a little bit here. With the light like not on it, that's what it looks like. With the light kind of helping to like emphasize it, like that's how it looks. Yeah, because I faded from like the red highlight to the orange, from the orange into the. Let's say this. I do want to touch up some of the. Makes me want to aim my last cannons at it, so make a great terrifying distraction for the enemy. True. The Eye of Corn sees all. Rage. Yeah, and all that without spray paint. That's pure, or an airbrush. That's all pure just brushwork. Reminds you of the water temple boss on Twilight Princess, where you had to yank the eye out of the tentacles of the claw shot. That's a reference. One I get. You went for a male feminist scalp. Male feminist scalp. Very funny. What? If you went for a male feminist scout, you'd basically have like a fishing lure, a little green fishing lure, or a bright pink one, you know. It looked like you scalped Peanut with the share it later. Okay, show me later. Show me later. Alright, so now that we got that glow effect on the eye, we're gonna keep. Gonna go back to doing. I don't know if I'm gonna repeat that effect like with everything. That might get a little extreme, but. You're an asshole. It's okay if you're an asshole, so am I. Nothing's wrong with being an asshole as long as you point at the right people. Blow my nose. I don't know why I feel stuffy. I guess I'm still recovering from my man flu, but I figured I would have fully recovered by now. Hard to believe I subbed to that asshole for 5+ years. You can do better, you can look like Mikey does. Wait, what? Mikey? Hellstorm Mikey? Like Hellstorm Wargaming? Are we going back to that, or are you referencing someone else? It's drying so fast. Sorry, I'm going quiet here a little bit. But this is like when I start getting like detail oriented and hyper focused. Good. Oh, wow, my eyes kind of drying out.
System's failing, falling apart.
Alright, heading out. Alright, see you later, Havoc. Have a good one, man. Head out for the night. Have a good night. Have a good night. GW removed the alternatively builds list for their web store. Really? Alright, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream there. I'm gonna finish it. I know I said this last time, but I mean it this time. I'm gonna finish this guy off stream. Like, I'm gonna shut off the cameras and everything, put on some music or audiobook, and I'm gonna like get into my OCD like zone and finish this guy off. Before I write him off, though, what do y'all think of what's done there? How do you guys feel about? Really gotta find a nickname for you. Obviously, he's my Maulerfiend. He's my world leader's Maulerfiend, but doesn't quite encapsulate him. I don't know. Vote on a nickname. Vote on a nickname. Let's we'll come on that up. Looking good. Looks good. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. A lot of emphasis on that eyeball. Yeah, so he'll be done tonight, and then I'm gonna move on to everything else I gotta do. Gotta get Karn done. Gotta get all those. We can call him Mueller. His Mueller. His little Mueller. Like the EFAP guy. Mauler? I think his name is. Flopsy. Flopsy! Oh great, now I want to watch Avatar: Last Airbender. Damn you. Blender. Very appropriate name. Especially for what he's going to do to mine enemies. Yes, the EFAP guy. Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm gonna get in the zone, the auto zone, if you will. Hammer him out, and then I'm probably not going to bed. Well, it's 11 o'clock, and I do work tomorrow. I'm definitely not going to bed till he's done, but I was about to say I'm not going to bed till I start, like, get a few more models assembled for the world leaders, but that might be a bit more ambitious than I should be. So, yeah. Or I could be built as a Lord on Juggernaut at 65 single model, okay. So, gonna wrap up there. Before you guys leave, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you haven't already. And of course, have an amazing night. That's the most important one. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.